Okay, so this weekend I did something pretty freaking cool, and that was go to Anime Expo. And yeah, it was a freaking blast, had a lot of fun. But while I was there, I just couldn't help but compare it to San Diego Comic-Con. And well, that's because, well, I've been there a shit ton. If you've seen my past videos, I mean, I've been there pretty much every year this decade. And yeah, so I just couldn't help but compare them. Also, just start things off, this video is not going to be me comparing them, like saying, oh, this one's better because of this one's better. No, screw that. This video is more suited for people, who are, interested in going to conventions, who have never been to one, and want to figure out, which one to start with. Something, something as grand and huge as, like, San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest convention in the world, or something smaller, like Anime Expo. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just get to it. Before we continue, I just want to mention that, yes, some people will be taking issue with the whole, me saying that Anime Expo is a small convention. I mean, it's the biggest anime convention in North America. But when you compare it to, say, San Diego Comic-Con or, New York Comic-Con or, even E3, it is a lot smaller in scale. So just for the sake of this video, it's going to be considered a smaller con. And you'll understand why, because, it's more, centered on one thing. But yeah, regardless, let's start off with Anime Expo and the pros. The pros. It's much more streamlined due to the fact that, well, it's centered on one thing and one topic only. And that is, of course, anime. Next up, yeah, everyone there is there for the same thing. Hence, it'll be a lot easier for, to, make friends, talk to people. Everyone has the same interests as you. I mean, you can just start talking about one thing and all of a sudden someone behind you be like, oh, I know that, or I know that, just due to the fact that everyone there is there for the same thing. It's a community, and it feels like that. It's just a huge community, and it's freaking awesome. Also, because everyone's so, so comfortable with each other, there's going to be a lot of people cosplaying. I mean, I feel like there is pretty much a lot more people cosplaying in Anime Expo compared to, like San Diego Comic-Con. At least per capita, per people, like percentage-wise. When you cosplay at Anime Expo, you're there to, fit in. You're there to, feel like you are home. Another thing, it's very easy to get into, Anime Expo and a lot of other, smaller conventions. I mean, you can show up day of and you can buy your tickets right there. There's no hassle. You just have to have the money. And essentially, compared to other, bigger conventions, it's actually pretty cheap to, buy tickets for, like, Anime Expo. And yeah, there's no hassle. Just go into a line. You can pre-order your tickets. And if you pre-order them, they're actually cheaper. So it's a very user-friendly experience. And you can easily get tickets to, like, just smaller conventions due to the fact that they're more smaller in the scale, like, more centered like in like a certain area, or it's more of a smaller niche audience, so that means not everyone's going to want to go. On top of that, I could literally make a list of all the things I wanted to do, any of the things I wanted to buy, or any things I wanted to see, and I can accomplish them all in one day. I mean, it's just so much easier to deal with everything. I mean, the lines are relatively short compared to, like, the bigger conventions. And it's just so much easier to do things. Everything is less crowded. It's just easier to move around, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, again, everyone's there for the same purpose, and you just feel like you're part of, like, this big machine, and you just feel unified. And it feels great. All right, now having said all that, now let's move on to the cons. I'm not making a shitty pun. I mean, legitimately, let's move on to the cons. Yeah. Usually these conventions are for diehards only. So if you're a guy who likes Dragon Ball Z and that's pretty much all you've watched, you're gonna feel a little alienated. I mean, you gotta eat, shit, and breathe anime. In the example of Anime Expo, to not fit in but just feel at home. Like, for example, me, I freaking love anime, but I don't know if I'm a diehard anime fan, like an otaku. Like, I don't think I'm that, not even close. I'm still a little backlogged on, like, animes I want to watch. I mean, I'm really interested. I've seen a lot of the great ones, but I am nowhere near that level, at least to the extent of some people that I saw there. Another con I noticed, and this is more strictly for me, there are little to no exclusives. I mean, if you see behind me, there's got a lot of shit that I probably picked up at conventions and stuff. But yeah, they don't really have that many things to, sell, like, like, oh, the exclusive convention thing or like this. Also, they really don't give out that much free things. I understand it's like, what the hell? Just you're complaining about getting free stuff. When you go to a convention, that's a thing that usually happens. You usually get a shit ton. I mean a truckload of just free things just thrown at you. But in smaller conventions, it's smaller booths, smaller things. They can't really just throw everything at you. It's a lot harder to offer a bunch, or find a bunch of great deals, find a bunch of free stuff, because it's a much smaller venue, much smaller convention. And yes, that's another thing. The exhibit hall is usually a lot smaller. Hence, there's a lot less things to do. I understand that point of this as a positive, that you can easily do everything in one day. But if you bought a 4-day pass, and if you do not eat, shit, and sleep anime, I highly recommend that you do not get 4 days, because you're just going to feel like there's nothing much to do, because once you go through the exhibit hall, that's it. And yeah, the exhibit hall is pretty small, at least compared to, as I mentioned before, the bigger conventions. All right, so bottom line with Anime Expo, yes, you're going to feel, if you are a diehard fan, you're going to feel at home. The whole freaking place, you can relate to every single person there, and it feels like heaven. Having said that though, there is not that much to do, and just know that if you have any doubts about a smaller convention, or like a niche audience, or like you're not that interested in a certain thing, you just need to understand that you will get bored pretty quick. It's just a thing that happens. Like personally for me, I had a blast. But going for more than one day, I don't see that happening. Not at all. All right, now let's move on to San Diego Comic-Con. And right now you may be thinking, oh, you're gonna easily give this, much more praise because, freaking it's a huge event and you've been there a lot of times. Hell no. There are a lot of things great about San Diego Comic-Con, and there's a lot of shitty things. So let's just get to it. The pros. There is a lot. I mean, the variety is freaking huge. There's so many things to do. I mean, if you love video games, you love movies, you love comic books, you love reading books, you love freaking manga, you love anime, anything you want that has to do with pop culture, entertainment, it's gonna be there. There is a lot, I mean a lot of things to do because of just the amount of variety. And the convention hall is huge. And having said that, if you manage to get through all the convention hall and just pick up a bunch of stuff, you are going to leave with a bag full of just tons, I mean tons of freaking free goodies. And also exclusives, there's tons of, there's freaking lists. There's a bunch of, exhibitors, exhibitionists, but there is a list of just straight up only exclusives that come out at San Diego Comic-Con. And it's because, well, when people go there, they're going there to spend a lot of money. On top of that, if you're interested in, like meeting people or, getting autographs, there are tons, I mean tons of celebrities that go to San Diego Comic-Con. And well, on top of that, the panels that, are freaking pretty much lined up are freaking fantastic. Usually when you go in, you're either going to get something exclusive, you're going to find out something cool, or you're going to have a nice Q&A with like somebody famous. It's just, they're tons and tons of fun. Also, the lines are very, very well organized. I mean, there's tons of lines, don't get me wrong, but something about San Diego Comic-Con, their lines are always very, very, concise, very well regulated, and also you won't be cut. I mean, obviously it'll happen every now and then, but it's a lot harder to cut into a line. So if you get a spot in the line, you can expect to get into your whatever the hell you get into, Hall H, any kind of room, any panel, whatever the hell you want to buy an exclusive. Just saying that the convention lines are a lot easier to handle. Having said that though, let's get to the cons. The lines are freaking huge. Just because the fact that you're gonna get in the line and like, oh, I've guaranteed a freaking spot, I'm guaranteeing like my spot in this certain event or exclusive, you're gonna wait a long freaking time due to the fact that those lines are just so, and this has to do with like the fact that there's so many people there. The last couple of years, Comic-Con has been letting more and more people in, and it's just becoming overcrowded. I mean, my God, there are so many people that go to Comic-Con. Expect to trudge through just tons and tons of people, and you will be elbowing and shoving people, not on purpose. It's gonna happen by accident, and you're gonna do it like just unconsciously. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry, but it's just this animalistic vibe that everyone is there for themselves. It's a freaking dog-eat-dog world, and it pretty much, the whole attitude around the whole convention is every man for himself. There's less of a vibe of the, you know, like community. I mean, they're still there. You go to a panel, everyone's there. You feel like the same thing. You feel like, you know, you're all cheering together. It feels great. But we're in the exhibit hall. It's every man for himself. That's pretty much what it is. Next up, you're gonna need to plan everything you do, and besides that, you're also gonna have to have a backup plan B, backup plan C, backup plan D, because while they give you a book with, like, you know, the schedule of all the panels, you know, the whole exhibit hall, even if you go all 4 days, you're not gonna experience everything you want to do, because it is hell. There is so many things to do. There are so many things that are, you know, going to be happening at the same time as something else, because you want to go check out this exclusive, but you also want to go meet this actor, and oh my god, there's also there's a trailer going to come out. I want to see this, see that. There's a lot of things to do, but you have to understand that while you're going to be, you know, ecstatic, you're going to be freaking happy, you're going to be, you know, adrenaline filled, you're also going to be a little disappointed because you're going to have to make compromises. You're going to have to decide whether you want to do this or this, because it's just hectic, and there is no possible way you can do everything. Even if you go all 4 days, there is no freaking way that you're going to be able to do everything that you could possibly want. I mean, if you're a person that, you know, that's not hard to please, yeah, sure, you can probably do everything in like a day or two. But if you're a person like me that's like, oh, like a freaking kid in a candy store, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want this, you're going to be overwhelmed, but just expect disappointment. Yes, you're going to be seeing a lot of things that you're not going to be able to even touch, let alone even get into, because of the lines, or say, you know, time or scheduling conflicts. It's just very difficult to handle because there is just a shit ton of things to do. And on top of that, here's probably the thing I hate the most about pretty much any huge convention. It is extremely hard to get tickets. I mean, in the past, you know, sign up to Comic-Con, you know, just get your ticket, blah, blah, it's whatever. You know, just sign up at a certain hour and you click enter, done, you got your ticket. But nowadays, because more and more people are going, the tickets are now pretty much distributed in a sense as a lottery. Yes, you literally sign up and you have the same chances as everyone else. You type in whatever the hell passcode they give you. By the way, if you forget that passcode or lose that passcode, you're screwed. But if you manage to, you know, get into their database, you click enter, now you're in a freaking, you know, waiting room, and essentially they're pretty much, they're freaking, you know, just calling out random numbers. You're in a lottery. You're pretty much playing the lottery to pay money to go to a convention. It is stupid. I've talked about this before, but compared to, like, you know, say Anime Expo, it is so much harder to get tickets, and that really pisses me off. And on top of that, it is far more expensive. I mean, to have a full 4-day good experience, you should have at least, including hotel, including the tickets themselves, and if you're not even, and also hopefully you're going to be sharing the room with other people, because the hotel prices are freaking ridiculous. But yeah, expect to either drop somewhere between $500 to up to $1,000. It really depends on, like, the kind of shit you want to buy or see. But yeah, this is a commitment, and you're going to be breaking the bank to go to a huge convention like this. So if you're into that, good for you. But for most of us, that is a big turnoff. Holy shit. So yeah, bottom line with San Diego Comic-Con, it's a grand event. I mean, it's freaking awesome. There's so many things to do, so many things to see. It's just amazing. And when you walk in, your jaws just drop the amount of things that are just presented in front of you. Having said that though, if you're even lucky enough to even have the money for it, even get your tickets, because it's a fucking lottery, once you get there, expect long ass lines to be trudging through just seas and seas of people. Just a bunch of BO in your face, just face to face with people, just trying to move along, trudging through your whole freaking day. Prices of everything's gonna be freaking skyrocketed. And food, you better have some protein bars just jam-packed or packed away, because the food prices there are ridiculous, and the food kind of sucks there. I'm sorry, but it's not very good. It's just dirty, shitty, greasy convention food. And it's just, so yeah, there's a lot of great things to do at San Diego Comic-Con, but there's also a lot of just shit you have to trudge through to get to the gold. So in a way, if you're up for it, you really want to go in those trenches, do it. It's worth the experience, but just understand what you're getting yourself into. Well, that's the video. And yeah, I'm at least hoping this video was at least a little bit informative, or at the very least entertaining. But yeah, if you've been to a convention, you already understand this, but if you've never been, you have to understand, whether big or small, a convention is a commitment. There's going to be, you're going to have great times, you're going to have a great experience, but there's going to be a lot of things in your path and a lot of obstacles. And just understand that once you get through those, it will be worth it in the end. Also, if you're wondering which one I prefer the most, I mean, obviously it's going to be, Comic-Con, due to the fact that I just have tons of, just interests, and, there's so much variety. It's just a much grander in scale comic convention. It's just awesome. I freaking love it. But having said all that, I cannot wait to go back to Anime Expo, because it was just also tons of fun. I think that's it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.